There are people I know who have huge followings,
right,
and they deliberately piss people off. I'm afraid if we go to battle tomorrow, we might die. Patrick Bet-David, Ed Milet, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, Clint Eastwood, Kardashian,
Mark Cuban.
How do you create a raving fan if you don't give them something to rave about? If people aren't saying you're crazy, then you're doing it wrong. Oh my gosh, they're going to cancel us. Who wants to follow that guy? Being certain when things are going great is easy.
Right.
And he took a step back and said, after you. The attitude comes before the paycheck.
Right. Hey guys, welcome to another show here, Life Mastery Trainings, and here with Marc Accetta. And quick question I was going to ask you is, nowadays, obviously, there's a million influencers in a million different things. So what do you think is one of the most important things to becoming an actual influencer?
That's true. Well, first of all, there's a million podcasts, so I hope
what makes ours different? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and this is what I tell people all the time. I've been in the business of, as you know, building leaders for a long, long time. And just everything I read when I was in my stages of up and growing was, first, I think it was Jack Walsh, who was from the car industry, who said, the first thing you got to do is you got to be a leader yourself. You got to get there. You got to go from, as I've mentioned in the past, being the lion who looks in the mirror and sees a kitten. You got to go as the lion who looks in the mirror and sees the lion. You've got to grow. You got to build confidence. You got to get results. Yeah. But then once you get discipline, once you learn humility, once you get to a place, you've gone through a lot of this personal development, then it's about developing other people. A real leader is not looking for someone to follow them all the time. Yeah. A real leader wants people who are going to lead themselves. You know what I mean? So to me, that's a big thing. So I've always focused on building leaders. So the one thing I tell people, I go, look, if you want to have a following, the one thing about there's a lot, and I know we could get social media people here. It could be. I'm not going to get into like how do you get a following, like how do you hit the algorithms on either TikTok or Instagram. I don't know all that stuff. Yeah. We have people obviously do it for us. But what I will tell you is you need to be certain, like 100% certain, because if you are talking to people and you're wishy-washy about things, or you're trying to please all the people all the time, right? You want to please all the people all the time. Right. You don't want, it's impossible to speak your mind and really say what you really think and not have people disagree with you. Right. But we live in a world now. Are you kidding me? If you go on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, I mean, you are going to get obliterated by people. I mean, there's people, they call them Twitter trolls, they used to be anyway, where they're just going to launch on you and just absolutely annihilate. Every once in a while, I love doing it with the sports deals. I've always been a huge sports fan, and I'll make a sharp comment about something and oh my gosh, it is amazing. I will get either thousands of likes or hundreds of comments telling me to go somewhere not nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I'm not, again, you can't live in a shadow of fear. Let's go a step further. Then in today's society, the real thing is you get canceled. Right. Oh my gosh, they're going to cancel us. And it's like, man, I love people like Dave Chappelle. He's been canceled 4 times, but he's like, I'm still here. Yeah, check it out. Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think the only way to really build a following is to say what you really care about. People know when you're full of shit. Right. People know when you're just, politicians are the classic example of this. I don't care what party they're from or what country they're from. They never want to alienate a potential voter. Right. So they always say something that's very vanilla, that's very middle of the road, so it doesn't really upset anyone. Yeah. So I'll tell you this. There are people I know who have huge followings, and they deliberately piss people off. Yeah. They deliberately polarize people. In other words, they know when they say a certain thing, it's going to irritate the shit out of a certain group.
Yeah.
And therefore, a lot of people go, well, I won't do that because I want to get everybody. Well, you're never going to get everybody. I mean, maybe if Taylor Swift had a podcast, she'd get everybody. She has got to be. We can't even, like right now, we're right in the middle of the thing where Taylor Swift dating a guy named Travis Kelce. He's a football player. And again, my daughters, I can't believe they said this. They're like, so I guess Taylor Swift put this guy, Travis Kelce, on the map. And I'm like going, oh, wow. Oh, man.
If they were smart, they'd spike ticket sales. Like increase.
Well, I think, his jerseys. Here's the thing. Whatever, Oprah Winfrey used to be like this, like whatever they endorse, like, everyone goes crazy. So, again, we're getting off track. I'm just trying to tell you, though, man. Look, you go see Taylor Swift. She's on it, man. She knows her stuff. I saw her perform on her Red Tour years ago. Our production guys brought me there just to see what they were doing from a production standpoint. I remember at that point, she was in her early 20s then, I think, going, man, this gal has confidence. She's got certainty. You know, it's what it's all about. So again, if you believe in something, say what you really believe in, but don't say it in an apologetic way. Say it in an absolute positive, certain way. And you are definitely going to piss people off and they're going to write negative comments, but you've got to learn how to be oblivious to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of having that thick skin that we mentioned on one of the other podcasts, where, even if you do watch a Dave Chappelle special on Netflix, you see that sometimes he'll have people, in the middle of his show or in the middle of what he's talking about, they'll jump up and they'll say their own opinion and then, he'll come back at them. Yeah. But he doesn't let them
I would definitely not attack Dave Chappelle. That's a bad idea. He's pretty witty on his
But again, he's very certain in his beliefs and he's not going to let somebody, especially where he has a microphone and they're sitting in the audience, that big difference right there. He's not going to let them kind of, get him off that night, as far as what he's teaching or what he's, his show.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. So again, if you are really for something, say what you're really for. You know what I mean? And again, they say it as a public speaker, as an influencer, you should never talk about religion, sex, or politics. So I try to talk about all three at every event I do, as you well know. Making some good points today, don't you think? But we have to pause for a minute and give you a public service announcement because in March of 2024, our next live event in Europe is called A View from the Edge. It's a rare form of training where we actually entertain and educate at the same time. We're going to show you a very short video clip that gives you a feel for what this is all about. And when it's done, we'll get you right back to the podcast. But definitely get with the person who told you about the podcast. Let them know if you have interest in the view. And I'm telling you, you want to get started with us as quickly as you can because tickets are selling quickly. And I promise you, the tagline for this training is the best one we've ever had. Life will never be the same. Nothing could be more true for you. So many people all over the world. It's a 25-year anniversary of doing this event. And I promise you, if you come, business and life will never be the same. are you afraid of? What's holding you back? What is your problem? What's stopping you from living the life God intended you to live? You need to step up right now. This isn't just a seminar. This is your life. And I don't want to overtly offend people, but I'm not going to. I mean, I talk about I believe in God. We've done that on one of the other podcasts, and I know that's a turnoff for some people. Yeah. So clearly, they're not going to be our raving fans.
Right.
But, how do you create a raving fan if you don't give them something to rave about?
Right.
So again, I've got to be all in. Like we talk a lot about my background, Stavros, George, we have a background in network marketing. That's a turnoff for some people. Yeah. So, okay, they're probably not going to be raving fans of ours, and that's okay. Maybe because you and I are Americans, and, a lot of people around the world like and admire Americans. A lot of people despise Americans. Right. So we may not have a raving fan base, because of that reason, but we are who we are. And we have to be unashamedly proud of who we are. So again, go back to what I'm saying about just being certain about what you're talking about.
Right.
So, I think of the people I know the most who, I follow people like Patrick Bet-David, right? I know you follow him. I know you love Ed Milet. When these guys are good examples, when they're talking, whatever they're talking about is a fact. Yeah. Now, it's not a fact. It's their opinion. But the way they state it is if it's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to talk about when you're being certain, and you're going to say things that people are going to disagree with.
Yeah.
And if you get your feelings, or if you weren't on the other podcast, rhinos have really thick skin. You stab a rhino with a knife, they don't even know you were there. The opposite is a sheep. You stick a sheep with a little needle and, oh my gosh, they're bleeding and screaming and crying and the whole deal. Yeah. So if you want to be an influencer, you cannot let what people are saying on social media upset you. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, if people aren't saying you're crazy, then you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it hard enough. Yeah. And again, in this day and age, we see it manifest itself here in America with anything political. I mean, oh my gosh, next year, another presidential election, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But if you just state what you say, if there's a post and you just state what you say, people go ballistic. They attack you personally. It is unbelievable how nasty it can get. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, therefore, don't do it. And to me, that's you're letting yourself get censored, which is never a good thing.
Not only that, but then also going back to, I'm sure, as far as the certainty, also staying true to your beliefs and not kind of wishy-washy.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, going back to politicians do that all the time. Are you for gun control? Yes, 100% I'm for gun. And then next time I'm talking to a different group, they're going like, well, I'm for it, but, only in the right circle. I'm just using it as an example. But people hate wishy-washy. Yeah. So again, like whenever I was building an organization, anyone I'm working with, my belief is we've got the deal. This is the deal. There are no other deals. If I'm in this deal, I'm in this deal.
Right.
People would always go, well, I'll look at your company if you look at mine. I'm like, no. You look at my company or forget about it. Like, I'm not going to, this is the one. I am in this thing. So, whatever, you got to believe in your industry. If you're not in an industry that you can stand up and be proud and stand on a soapbox and tell everyone they should be in it, my recommendation is get in a different industry.
Right.
Same thing with the company. If you're in a company and you're trying to recruit people into a company, or you're trying to sell a product and you don't believe in that, then why should people follow you? Yeah. You've got to be the authority figure. You've got to be someone who gets someone's attention. I'm telling you, notice if you're following someone, and I can name a bunch of people right now that I love to follow, and every one of them is confident and certain.
Right.
Jatal, they're confident and certain. Gary V, confident and certain. Everyone I could name, for heaven's sakes, Grant Cardone. I mean,
Right.
could he be any more confident? Could he be any more certain? So, I mean, these are all examples. And again, different people are talking about different things. I know my wife follows some people that she loves in the beauty industry and
Right.
the fashion industry, but it's again the same thing, totally different delivery, but they're confident and certain. And
Right.
when they're talking to people, they're like, and if you're not doing it this way, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
We hung out with Robert Kiyosaki. He's
Yeah.
a classic example. If you have money in a savings account, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't mince words. So maybe Robert's a little overly aggressive, but you know what? I love that. I know for some people they don't love that, but the point is you've just got to say what you've got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even whenever we met, a while back that we had that lunch that we had gotten with Marc Cuban,
Right.
like, I mean, talk about, somebody that certainty and each one of the businesses that he was developing at the very beginning, it was kind of like, people were definitely talk smack about him or the Mavericks, but he's certain. And boom, you see him by the sidelines. It's like, boom, they're winning. This is the year.
Yeah.
Like Dallas Cowboy fans, we've got certainty.
Whoa, you guys haven't. It's certainly going to be another 8-8 season.
No, they're Super Bowl bound. That's
yes.
That's
you guys
our
are always,
certainty.
that's a whole nother story. If you're a Cowboy fan, may the force be with you. Although I'm a
if you're an
Redskin
Alabama fan,
Alabama,
may the force be with
this is
you.
a rough year for us, but I still, if we run the table, get to the SEC championship game against Georgia, I know people in Europe could give a shit about this.
Europeans right now are like, what?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I got to shout it out. We can still get there. And if we beat Georgia in the SEC championship, we'll get into the tournament. If we get in the tournament, anything could happen.
There you go. You said it with certainty. So.
I did say it with certainty. That's it. But imagine, honestly, like even, listen, being certain when things are going great is easy.
Yeah.
But so if you've got 12 million followers and you're a multi-millionaire business, well, of course you're going to have certainty. Yeah. But I learned from my mentor a long time ago, the attitude comes before the paycheck.
Right.
So can you act like you've already got 1 million followers? Can you act like you've already got, I remember years ago, I was on a ski trip in a place called Sun Valley, Idaho. And that's Idaho and Montana, those places become a lot more popular over the years. But back then it was kind of a pretty well kept secret and a lot of celebrities would go there. So we went up there with our company. And on the same trip, we bumped into Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, and and Clint Eastwood.
Wow!
While they were all at the height of their success, it was so cool. Anyway, the one I want to talk about is Clint Eastwood. Yeah. So, like Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry.
Yeah, Dirty Harry.
This was shortly after The Unforgiven had come out. He won the Oscar for it. And The Unforgiven, he's this horrible. At one point he goes, "I've killed everything that's walked, run, or crawl at some point or another." He shoots a guy who's almost dead without even looking at him. I mean, he's so mean. So we're at there, and me and my friend Lori, we're walking, we're in a ski resort, and we're going up the cafeteria line to get in line, and we walked right. Clint Eastwood came up at exactly the time we did, and we were both like, oh my gosh, it's Clint Eastwood. And he took a step back and said, "After you." And it's so soft-spoken. And we were both like, oh, that was thank you. Nice to meet you. We love you. But then afterwards, I was like telling her, like, didn't you think he was going to knock us out of the way or scream at us or shoot us or something? Yeah. So here's the point I'm trying to make. He's an actor. So he's a great actor because if you meet someone in person and you expect them to be like their character, that means they're doing an awfully good job of playing that character. In reality, Clint Eastwood's not like that at all.
Yeah.
He's one of the coolest, most unegotistical, down-to-earth, nice people in the world from everything I've ever read, and my brief encounter with him definitely spelled that out. But what I'm trying to get back to is, how would I act if? So how would I act if I had 5 million followers? How would I act if I was already rich? So if that doesn't work, we're casting you in the new movie to be the most popular person on the internet.
Right.
So you just speak with that kind of certainty and confidence, and whatever you're talking about, don't second guess yourself. That is the biggest thing in the world, is when you second guess yourself. Well, what if I say that? If I say this, will I upset people? I know some people that they're going, I'm going to send a text to someone Does this sound okay?
Right.
And it's like, I understand why we do that, but for heaven's sakes, if you don't have enough certainty and confidence to send the text without second guessing yourself, maybe you shouldn't think about being an online influencer. Again, it's called an influencer. Yeah. So again, no matter who we're talking about, whether it's one of the Kardashians, you know what I mean? They're not my favorites, but they have a pretty damn big following. And whatever they're talking about, they are an authority figure. They say it with certainty and confidence.
Now, the other thing, obviously, is for somebody, if they're looking at, okay, let me try to duplicate or match and model with this influencer, most definitely, I would imagine that you agree, find somebody that you have kind of the similar core beliefs.
Yeah.
Or also, just the belief system is also there, because obviously with certainty, it can be used for
in different manners.
Or for, Yeah.
And I mean, you've got someone who's overly confident, like a Grant Cardone would be a great example. And then you have someone who's also certain, but they're a little bit less in your face about it. So you can pick your styles. I mean, to me, that's what I did over the years. I had my mentor for years, and a lot of his speaking style, I'm sure if I would show videos of him and me, I think he's way better than me, but I think they'd see similar style. Now I deliberately didn't just copy him, because and this is a good lesson for you. If you're copying someone, the very best you can be is second best. You know what I mean? So you follow, you get things from people, but then you've got to be authentic, man. You got to be yourself. And after I no longer work with him, I started just looking, YouTube became a thing.
Right.
I just started studying great speakers. You know what I mean? So, and it didn't matter if they were in my industry. I just wanted, and a lot of the people actually that I modeled were pastors.
Wow.
Some of the best speakers I've seen are pastors for sure. Mike Hayes, I went to Covenant Church for years. He's one of the best public speakers I've ever seen in my life. Without a shadow of a doubt, there were a few of his character traits and the way he did things that I borrowed, I guess you would say, over the years. But it was anything. So if you want to be an influencer, you should definitely follow other influencers, but again, not to mimic exactly what they're doing. You don't want to do that, but you want to at least get a feel for what they're doing and what they're talking about. And I really believe, like, when we're trying to come up with topics, we got to, please don't do that. Don't take other people's material. Like, as best you can, come up with your own stuff and have confidence and belief in what you're saying. And again, I don't want to just beat a dead horse to death, but ultimately, you've got to give people a reason to follow you. So again, let's forget about being an influencer. Let's say you want to build a big sales team. You got to tell people, man, this is it. Follow me. I know where I'm going. We're going over here. Imagine being a military leader. You go, hey guys, we're outmanned, and I don't know, dude. I'm afraid if we go to battle tomorrow, we might die. Like, who wants to follow that guy?
Right.
It's like, listen, yes, we're outmanned. Yes, they have vastly superior weapons, but the bottom line is we're better trained, and if we execute the way we're supposed to, we're gonna win this battle. It's gonna be a glorious battle.
Right.
You've got to be certain. That's what I don't know if what we keep saying it, but like what I'm talking about. It's like, look, guys, we're a little tiny company. The biggest guy used to always say, man, the biggest company in our industry is Amway. They do $8 billion, $10 billion a year. Right. We're like a zit on the butt of their dog right now. But if we keep doing exactly what we're supposed to do, and if we understand we have an even better value proposition than they do, then someday we can be bigger than they are.
Right.
So it's got to be, and that's the other thing. It's, again, the attitude comes before the paycheck. In the Bible, it says, with no vision, the people will perish.
I was going to say, you got to cast the vision.
You got to cast the vision. And most people don't get that. Like, it's like, I've got to show people behind me what we're looking at. Where are we going? Why are we going there? Again, why is someone going to follow you? And if there's nothing right now for them to follow you based on, then you've got to show them what's coming in the future and why they should follow you. But again, it all comes down to your certainty and your confidence. And let me tell you something. Again, we talk about our breakthrough training. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, it's impossible to have the kind of certainty you need to if you are wildly insecure on the inside. I always tell people we're born to win. and then we're programmed to lose.
Right.
And if you don't believe that, come to Breakthrough, go through the first day and tell me that it's not true. We'll prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt. The good news is we'll help you delete a lot of the reasons why you feel that way while you're at the event, and then we'll fill up your hard drive with all this great stuff so you can be confident. Listen, it's not that hard. The people that are doing what you want them to do, they're just like you.
Yeah.
They're human beings. They've got flaws. They make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I do stupid things all the time. We look at people and we just assume that if they're in the limelight or if they make a lot of money or if they're good at doing whatever business, that they must be geniuses and perfect. And it's not true. You are better at certain things in your life than they are in their life. Whatever you can do to see yourself in the right way when you look in the mirror so that you can ultimately be that powerful person that people are willing to follow. So I guess that's all we got for today. Yes?
Yeah, that's awesome. So influencers, listen to this and, drop some
Go
comments.
influence somebody.
Yeah, go influence somebody.
And then we'll see you next week, same time.